Yeah, I just sing like little mantras and chants and stuff, and I love it. Yeah, getting as much of it out as possible is always really nice, but never a big deal.
What we see at the grocery store, what we see on ads, what we see in the newspapers and magazines, it's these food-like substances, it's this image, it's this condition that we have been exposed to for years and years and years, which has changed this way that we associate with eating. It's like this fast food society, or productivity junkies, I like to call us. And so we're so consumed of being productive and productive, like what are we even doing? And we forget to take care of ourselves.
It's all about aesthetics and convenience, and you know, it's fast-paced, and so those things make sense for people.
I grew up in the late 70s, 80s. I think that's when the big crazes, you know, in trying to sell some of these prepackaged things to kids started, and right now I think is the epitome of it.
I know when I grew up in the 60s and the 70s, we basically had, it was this whole industrialization of our food. Everything was in cans, canned peaches, nothing ever fresh, we couldn't afford it. And it was Campbell's soup.
I never have to ring the dinner bell for Timmy. His appetite is fantastic.
I'll be washed up in a jiffy, Mom.
He does have one eating problem, though. He isn't too fond of vegetables.
Our culture is very out of touch with the earth, where our food comes from, and the importance of having that connection again and building in that respect. I think lifestyle changes happen in childhood.
Before garden class, we go up here by the tree. We sit down on hay bales and we have homemade popcorn. And my teacher's Mrs. Crane, she's a farmer. You know, we'll have peas, we'll sit down, we'll talk.
We get them out in the garden and we plant peas and carrots and lettuce, and they're telling me as we're planting these little seeds, well, I really don't like lettuce, and no, I don't eat carrots, and I've never had peas before. And we take care of the plants all season, and they pick off the bugs, we water and we weed, and then we pull beautiful, bright carrots out of the ground. It puts kids in touch with where food comes from. A lot of children are not very aware of that in the beginning, and the reluctant children see the other children so eager, and they taste them, and just a look of wonder comes on their face, and they find out they love carrots, and they love the peas, and they'll eat lettuce raw out of the garden.
Yeah, I like to eat peas and carrots. It tastes nice and sweet.
Did it?
The juice will get in and it's like angels dancing around your mouth. It tastes so good.
A lot of families are starting gardens just from their kids' garden experience, and they're begging their parents to start one, and parents love to do something like that when their kids ask them to. So a lot of families are coming to me and asking what to do, and just sharing what's growing in their garden, and so I just see a blooming of people growing food at home and loving it as a family activity.
I've been making boxes like this, except they're wood.
Nice.
And they're homemade.
Very nice.
So he asked me, and I'm like, I don't know, let me go ask Sarita. I'm like, hey, Sarita, are these aphids? And she looks at it, she turns it over.
They did not? I couldn't.
Yes, Mom. These are aphids. And I was like, okay. I love the class.
So that was definitely one of those things where, you know, she was teaching us as opposed to the other way around.
Thanks to parents who are involved and care, we do have some additional resources. Depends from year to year how much resource comes in, but we know we have the spirit of the community behind us, and that makes a huge difference. Recognizing that students come to you with a variety of gifts and talents, and that unless you provide an opportunity for them to try something new or experience something different, they may never know that they have that interest or that talent or skill.
Talking to them about that kind of respect and reverence for the land and for what it can produce and do for our lives, children get it right away. And I feel like, in a way, it's just reminding them what they intuitively know, connecting children back to nature and back to the land.
There are a lot of people that have developed allergies due to the way that we've been producing these things here in the United States. So wheat production and milk production are done very differently than they used to be, so they've become these alternative foods. They're not really their essence anymore, so they affect people differently based on what goes into that product and the way it's grown and everything, and the intention that's put there, or the lack of intention, really. I was nannying for a family. The children were eating a lot of processed foods and things that were boxed. They had just already been processed. A lot of dairy, a lot of grains, and I eventually started to see a direct correlation between the food they were eating and then their temperament afterwards. And so when there were days or weekends when I would have them completely, and the way we would interact outside with animals and the food they would put in their bodies and the amount of fluids they would drink, or the lack of sugar they would have, or the lack of processed foods, it just changed them immensely. When you start seeing it happen right in front of you, you can't really deny it after that. And so it kind of reinforces the need, once again, on the farm to know exactly where things are coming from.
When you support buying vegetables from your local grocery stores, you're supporting companies like Monsanto and several other large commercial farms that really are all about themselves. They're not about the ground, they're not about the environment, they're not about what you're putting in your body, they're just about the bottom line, which is the dollar. So farm to table is basically taking produce, meats, dairy that you can find from basically as close as you possibly can to where you're serving it, and making sure that you know that your farms are producing good local organic product. And so when you eat locally, not only are you feeding yourself a higher quality of food, but you're also supporting people who are living right here in San Diego. And so your dollar goes right to them, and then their dollar goes right back into the community. And so you're supporting a lot more than just good food. You're supporting everything around you. So, and I think that the more money that we can keep in our food system here locally, the stronger and healthier the community will be. Soul Bistro and Market is an idea that was conceived about 2 years ago, where you could come and eat and shop for all of your favorite local goods here in San Diego. There's a lot of small little artisan food makers here in San Diego who create some great stuff that you can only find at the farmers market. So it's kind of bringing that all into one area, one place, supporting the local farms, and really just watching this whole empire grow in San Diego. Now I basically get to work with all the local vendors, local farmers a little bit closer. At the same time, I get to also keep an eye on what goods we're bringing in, and making sure that we're doing right by our community around us.
All of the meals are very simple here, which is nice. Use really quality products, and just a few of them creates this really magnificent dish. So it feels really good to be able to tell people that we know exactly where things are coming from, and that the quality is really nice. And then that education goes to the community, and then who knows where it goes from there. So with the movement of food and farm to table and all of that, I think quite soon that is going to be a very real possibility, as soon as other people are more aware and educated that this is even a possibility. So places like this could exist outside of the area. It's just a matter of education, I believe.
Spring Hill Cheese is my uncle's farm from Northern California. We do about 13 markets in San Diego a week. I do a lot of farm to table, work with restaurants, special events, cheese platters, and recently getting into more education, kind of bringing the farm home, getting into people's kitchens and working with them in their kitchens with traditional food practices. That one's really great if you're gonna do like a grilled cheese sandwich. I love this one with apples, because you have the spicy and then you have that sweet and that tart, so it's a real nice fun balance. One thing that I always talk about with my customers is the essence of the farm, which is the butter. So all of our cows are Jersey cows, and they're eating green grass, so which is really important. And I always say the true essence of the farm, you can tell by the butter when it's nice and yellow like this. So what you're seeing is this vibrant color equals micronutrients. Micronutrients equaling flavor. So when we're eating fat, our body can naturally detoxify. It understands that we're going to be fed properly. We're going to have those nutrients, vitamin A, D, especially K2, so that we can sustain our day, our energy, our insulin levels. You want to be finding quality. So it's beyond organic. It's traceability, it's sustainability, it's knowing where your product's coming from and making sure that it's from a good source. Not all dairy is created equal, because not all cows are out on pasture, sunbathing, eating green grass, and living a really low-stress life. While this being my uncle's farm and me growing up very close to the dairy and very close to farmland in Sonoma County, I was blessed with a beautiful childhood of really great foods and farmers markets, and this is what I did. I sat next to my grandparents as they sold fresh veggies from the farmers markets and cheese, and learned a lot about just community and nature and simple great foods. Kind of coming back to my roots, coming back to the ancestral way of eating, starting to really talk to my grandparents about how they properly prepared their foods, why they ate that way, researching the information from Dr. Weston Price and understanding that traditional foods were the way to go and are the way to go. It's in foods are medicine, and foods what sustains us when it's prepared properly. So with that is of course awareness. So that's what's first, is awareness, education, and then community is just sharing these ideas and these ideals, sharing our story with each other so that we feel supported in this process, because it is a process and it doesn't happen overnight. You don't wake up one day and know what to do, and we are continuing to understand just the way our body works on a physiological level. So it's an interesting time as we literally take the time to slow down and to start to understand.
Wild Willow is a nonprofit educational facility, and we have a lot of people that come through internship programs and volunteer programs. They work on the farm, it's hands-on, school field trips, and it's basically just a place for people to learn and exercise, learning capabilities in an educational setting where it's okay to kind of, not know everything.
She makes it look so good. It's like, you just have to grab a blow. That's the whole, I swear that's the whole trick. And I'm letting go every time and retwisting it. So it's a lot of finger work.
And we're going to be milking them for soap, possibly for different projects that the community can come down and take workshops. They can possibly do cheese making classes and soap making classes. A lot of people here volunteer or even pay to learn here as an educational role. So it's all benefiting the farm. It's all coming back into the community. It's an investment that we're putting back into the land. So this is basically like, I'm teaching myself. It's just a place to teach myself and others things that we all want to know for our later, in our lives anyway. So we're all winning. We're basically all gaining something from this, which is really cool. But if we could just take a step out, look at the farm truly for what it is and say, I understand. It's just, it just opens your eyes, and it's very important for people to have that, especially children, to really grow up understanding that things, to pull a carrot out of the ground and to pull a radish out of the ground. These things are pretty phenomenal, and they set the tone for the appreciation later on. Not always, but at least we can try.
Wonderful juicy carrots. They're delicious, and have you known they are vegetables?
There is not an overall diet for the entire universe. It just doesn't work that way. So, we all have our weak moments. Believe me, I will eat Hot Pocket every once in a while. No one's saying I'm not going to like Alberto's and not having a bean rice and cheese burrito, because I'll do it. But there has to be a line, and an understanding and an appreciation and a love for the backbreaking work that people put in, and understanding that there's a need for it. There's a reason people are doing this. These blood, sweat, and tears are happening for a reason.